Lowlife. She's a lowlife.
That was President Trump at an event in Bedminster, New Jersey. He was asked if he feels betrayed by Omarosa and replied by calling her a, quote, lowlife. That's in response to her book, which alleges the president used the N-word during production of The Apprentice. CBS News correspondent Errol Barnett has more on the accusations.
Have heard this tape? I heard this tape.
You heard the President of the United States?
The President of the United States use not only the N-word, other horrible things.
Speaking on National Public Radio about her book titled Unhinged, an insider's account of the Trump White House, Manigault-Newman claims to have heard offensive recordings of President Trump from his time on the reality TV show The Apprentice. Despite her book out Tuesday showing she only heard accounts of such a tape in which Trump used the N-word, quote, multiple times throughout the show's taping during off-camera outtakes. In excerpts obtained by the Washington Post, Manigault-Newman writes that President Trump is a, quote, racist, misogynist, and a bigot.
The president made a commitment. He made a promise.
It is a far cry from her time as the president's top cheerleader on African-American issues. The White House resisted efforts to stay silent on Friday, with Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders shooting back. Quote, this book is riddled with lies and false accusations.
All right, Errol Barnett is traveling with the president. He joins us now from Berkeley Heights, New Jersey. Errol, how credible are Omarosa's claims that she has heard these recordings?
Well, DeMarco, Omarosa's credibility certainly is in question. Let's keep in mind that she and President Trump first forged their relationship during her time as the supposed villain on the reality show The Apprentice, where Omarosa says she admired Donald Trump, the private citizen and business tycoon at that time, for his ability to really control a message in the media and drum up attention for whatever he chose. And, you know, Omarosa's role inside the White House was to do outreach for President Trump toward African Americans. And I can certainly remember last year at a meeting of the National Association of Black Journalists where Omarosa was invited to speak on President Trump's behalf, where she effectively was combative with the journalists that she was speaking with. And so knowing that Omarosa has a book to sell, that it's coming out next week and she'll be appearing on television tomorrow to speak more about her claims, it does raise questions as to how accurate these claims are, that she not only heard people or spoke to people who heard recordings of President Trump using offensive language during his time on that show, but as we showed you in that package there, she said to NPR that she heard the tapes herself despite not showing that in her book, according to excerpts that the Washington Post and NPR has seen. So there certainly is a credibility issue for Omarosa on this point.
Errol, does her book make any other controversial claims against the president?
Oh, certainly. There's all manner of claims in this book. One of them was that President Trump has a tanning bed in the White House, which of course CBS has not confirmed and no one else effectively has said is true. Also, she claims that at one point she led President Trump's former lawyer and fixer Michael Cohen into the Oval Office, and when she took him out of the office, she says she witnessed President Trump chewing on a piece of paper. And if you consider the climate in which this book is being released, as Michael Cohen faces charges, perhaps he's cooperating in the special counsel probe, which is investigating the president's potential obstruction of justice and collusion, all of these claims and allegations feed a suspicion that something was up and something was going on inside the White House. And it really is just this dramatic turn of events as these two former reality TV co-stars, these two former colleagues inside the White House now appear to be at complete odds. President Trump, though, has not yet directly responded to any of Omarosa's claims.
I want to ask you about the president's time there in Bedminster. He tweeted that he had dinner with Apple CEO Tim Cook, I should say, on Friday night. Do we know any details about the nature of their conversation?
Well, the White House has not responded to our request for additional information, but we do know that Tim Cook, during an earnings call recently, an Apple earnings call, did raise the flag over the tariffs that President Trump had announced, saying that these tariffs could very well result in Apple having to increase the prices of its goods, specifically the Apple Watch, devices like these, because of the president's actions. And Tim Cook has also warned that there may be unintended consequences consequences from those tariffs. So you could expect that that might be a topic of discussion. And Tim Cook has also been vocally critical of the president's hardline stance on immigration. So we'll wait to see if either of the two gentlemen do release details on their conversation. But there are areas of agreement. Tim Cook certainly supportive of President Trump's tax cuts, but also areas of division as well.
All right, a final question for you, Errol. Looking ahead to next week, we know the president is heading to Utica, New York on Monday to fundraise for Republican Congresswoman Claudia Tenney, who is up for re-election. How is the White House deciding where and when to send the president?
Well, I think it's President Trump himself who is deciding to get out on the campaign trail in the first place. He said that he wants to be out there each and every week up until the midterms to help Republicans kind of stem the losses that are expected during November's election. And I think already he's had some 17 various campaign stops and rallies. I've attended and reported on a number of them. And the strategy here is that President Trump's supporters really do have a very high approval rating of him. So despite the Democratic resistance, this blue wave that is being described, President Trump hopes to keep Republican turnout high. He says he has a good track record with candidates that he's endorsed, and if he's able to do that, Republicans potentially might be able to hang on to their majority in the House, which many Republicans and Democrats now say really comes down to a question of impeachment against President Trump. So he sees this as everything being on the line, and he's choosing to get out on the campaign trail as much as possible.
There's no denying he has a strong base there. Errol Barnett traveling with the president. Errol, thank you.
Yeah. You got it.